Welcome, high-value men. Have you ever felt that unsettling moment when someone you're talking to begins to pull away? Everything seemed to be going well, and then out of nowhere, they become distant. You're left questioning yourself, wondering what went wrong. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Many men have experienced this, myself included. I still remember the confusion of seeing someone lose interest without any clear reason. I used to think that being overly available, always saying the right things, and showing constant attention would keep their focus. But over time, I realized this approach was ineffective. Relationships and attraction are shaped by subtle behaviors and emotional dynamics, and understanding these can feel like solving a puzzle. The good news is, you don't have to figure this out alone. Through years of experience, research, and reflection, I've identified the core reasons why this happens. And more importantly, how you can turn things around. Today, we're diving into proven strategies to re-attract someone and rebuild their interest. But before we jump into the solutions, let's focus on the root cause. To address any challenge, you must first understand what's causing it. In most cases, there are two key factors at play. The first involves a lack of emotional connection, or what I call engagement. This doesn't mean creating unnecessary drama. Instead, it's about fostering a journey of emotions that deepens the bond. The second factor relates to balance and desire. If someone perceives that you're overly invested compared to them, it can unintentionally create distance. These two factors form the foundation of the issue. Don't worry though, we'll break them down and discuss how to use this understanding to your advantage. Are you ready to learn how to re-establish connection and become the person they can't ignore? Let's begin. The first step to solving any problem is understanding its root cause. In relationships, attraction doesn't simply disappear without reason. As I mentioned earlier, there are two key factors behind why someone might pull away: a lack of emotional engagement and an imbalance of desire. Let's dive deeper into these issues. When I talk about emotional engagement, I'm not referring to unnecessary drama or conflict. Instead, it's about creating a connection that feels dynamic, meaningful, and alive. Humans are naturally drawn to variety, moments that keep them curious, thrilled, and even a little uncertain. A relationship that lacks this emotional spark can start to feel stagnant, leading to disinterest over time. Imagine a great story. What keeps you hooked? Twists and turns, moments of joy, and a touch of suspense. Relationships are no different. If everything becomes predictable, the excitement fades. She needs to feel a spectrum of emotions: excitement, curiosity, comfort, and even playful conflict to stay connected to you. So how can you create this emotional engagement? The key lies in balancing these emotions. Start by introducing unpredictability. Alternate between showing interest and being reserved. This ebb and flow keeps her intrigued. Add moments of curiosity by leaving conversations on a high note or sharing just enough about yourself to make her want to know more. Build joyful memories by creating fun, lighthearted experiences together. And yes, even a touch of jealousy can be powerful, but only when handled carefully. Show her that you're a high-value man with options, without crossing the line into manipulation. Above all, ensure she feels safe and comfortable with you. Comfort balances the excitement and builds trust, which is essential for any lasting connection. This emotional variety is what keeps a relationship alive. If one emotion dominates, the connection can start to feel one-dimensional. For example, if everything is constantly fun and light, it can lack depth. On the other hand, if there's too much conflict or uncertainty, it may become exhausting. The secret is in creating a rhythm that feels natural and keeps her emotionally invested. Once you master this balance, you'll notice a significant shift in how women respond to you. Now let's discuss the second major reason why she might lose interest: an imbalance of desire. At its core, attraction is about balance. If she senses that you want her more than she wants you, it can create a dynamic where she feels overwhelmed or even less invested. This happens because people naturally value what feels earned or mutual. When one person becomes overly eager or emotionally dependent, it can unintentionally push the other away. Think about it this way. If you constantly show that you're available, shower her with attention, or make it clear that you're afraid of losing her, she might start to feel like she has all the power in the relationship. This isn't about playing games or withholding affection. It's about maintaining your own sense of self-worth and independence. When you place too much focus on her, you risk neglecting the qualities that made you attractive in the first place: your confidence, purpose, and self-assuredness. This imbalance often manifests through actions that reflect insecurity. For example, you might find yourself over-texting, over-apologizing, or trying too hard to please her. While these behaviors might come from a place of genuine care, they often have the opposite effect, making her feel suffocated or less excited about the connection. It's essential to remember that true attraction comes from mutual respect and admiration, not from one-sided effort. So how do you correct this imbalance? The answer is simpler than you might think. Focus on yourself. Instead of overthinking her actions or worrying about what she might be feeling, turn your attention inward. Prioritize your goals, interests, and personal growth. When you show that your life is fulfilling with or without her, you naturally create an aura of confidence and independence that draws her back in. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely living a life that's worth sharing. When you master this mindset, you'll find that the dynamic begins to shift. She'll sense that you're no longer overly reliant on her for validation, and that, in turn, will reignite her interest. Attraction thrives in an environment of balance, where both people bring value to the connection without sacrificing their individuality. The moment you reclaim your sense of self, you'll become someone she can't ignore. Understanding these two core reasons, lack of emotional engagement and imbalance of desire, gives you the foundation to approach the situation strategically. But what happens when you notice that she's already pulling away? This is where most men make critical mistakes, often driven by panic or a need for immediate answers. Let's address what you should and shouldn't do to re-attract her. The first and most important rule is to avoid over-communicating. When she begins to pull away, your instinct might tell you to text more, call frequently, or try to force a conversation about what's wrong. Resist this urge. Over-communicating doesn't bring her closer, it pushes her further away. Why? Because it signals that you're reacting out of fear, showing her that her distance has an emotional impact on you. Instead, remain composed. Give her space. Let her feel the absence of your attention, so she has a reason to notice it and, ultimately, miss it. The second rule is to avoid confessing your feelings during this period. It might feel like the solution to clarify your emotions, hoping she'll reciprocate and things will go back to normal. But this approach often backfires. When someone senses you're emotionally dependent, it reduces the excitement and mystery that keep them invested. If she's already distancing herself, a sudden confession might reinforce her decision to pull away. Instead, hold back. Allow her curiosity and emotional connection to rebuild naturally. Equally important is controlling your emotions, particularly anger or frustration. It's easy to feel rejected or even disrespected when someone starts to act distant, but reacting with anger only confirms to her that her actions have power over you. Blocking her, sending passive-aggressive messages, or demanding explanations won't bring her closer. On the contrary, it shows emotional instability, which can be a major turnoff. Instead, stay calm and unaffected. By maintaining composure, you send a powerful message. Her actions don't define your self-worth. Another mistake to avoid is apologizing unnecessarily. Many men fall into the trap of apologizing for things that don't require an apology, thinking it will smooth things over. For instance, you might feel the need to explain why you didn't reply immediately, or justify your behavior from a previous conversation. But excessive apologies can make you seem insecure or overly eager to please. A high-value man owns his actions without feeling the need to over-explain or seek constant validation. Lastly, resist the urge to offer gifts or extravagant gestures as a way to win her back. While it might seem like a kind or romantic gesture, it often sends the wrong message. It can make her feel like you're trying to buy her attention or affection, which undermines the genuine emotional connection you're trying to rebuild. Save gifts for meaningful occasions, not moments of uncertainty. These behaviors, over-communicating, confessing, reacting emotionally, over-apologizing, and giving gifts, are common pitfalls that many men fall into. By avoiding these mistakes, you set yourself apart. You show that you value yourself, that you're confident in your worth, and that you're not afraid to give her space. And in doing so, you create an environment where she has the freedom to reconnect with you on her terms. When she pulls away, it's essential to approach the situation with patience and a clear strategy. This brings us to the actionable steps you can take to reignite her interest. Let's break this into two scenarios. When you've just met her and there's minimal emotional investment, and when you've already built a connection but she begins to lose interest. In the first scenario, where you've only met her once or twice, it's important to recognize that you're still in the early stages of building attraction. At this point, it's natural for her interest to waver slightly. She doesn't know you well enough to have a strong emotional investment yet. This doesn't mean you should panic or overcompensate. Instead, take the lead without coming across as overly eager. For example, if you've sent her a message and she hasn't replied, don't bombard her with follow-ups. Instead, wait a little while and then engage with her in a casual, nonchalant way. Perhaps comment on a story she shares or bring up a lighthearted topic the next time you see her. These small actions signal that you're interested without appearing desperate. It's also worth noting that, in the early stages, she may not show much interest because she's surrounded by attention from other men. Women often have many options, especially early on, which makes it crucial for you to stand out by being confident, composed, and slightly mysterious. Don't feel discouraged if she doesn't immediately respond with enthusiasm. Building genuine attraction takes time. Now let's move to the second scenario, where she initially showed interest, but over time, her behavior has shifted. Perhaps you've met her several times, shared meaningful conversations, or even gone on dates. But suddenly, she seems distant. This is a more challenging situation because the emotional connection has already been established, and its sudden absence feels jarring. The key here is not to chase after her or attempt to force her attention back. Instead, focus on regaining balance in the dynamic. The first step in this scenario is to reduce communication. If you've been calling her frequently or sending multiple messages, pull back. Allow her to experience your absence. Remember, people tend to value what they risk losing. By giving her space, you allow her to process her feelings and potentially miss the energy you brought into her life. This doesn't mean ignoring her completely. If she reaches out, respond naturally, but avoid initiating too much. Next, resist the urge to directly address her sudden distance. Asking her why she's pulling away or trying to get her to explain her feelings often comes across as needy. Instead, remain calm and confident. Show her through your actions that you're unaffected by her change in behavior. Continue focusing on your own life, goals, and interests. When she sees that her distance hasn't shaken your sense of self-worth, she'll begin to view you in a new light. Finally, when the time feels right, reintroduce moments of emotional engagement. Use the strategies we discussed earlier: excitement, curiosity, fun, and comfort to rebuild the connection. However, take it slow. Let her invest in the relationship at her own pace and avoid rushing back into the dynamic that led to her pulling away in the first place. These two scenarios require slightly different approaches, but the underlying principles remain the same. Stay composed, give her space, and maintain your own value. By doing this, you create an environment where attraction can flourish naturally. Now that we've covered the scenarios where she might lose interest, let's dive into the core principles that will help you rebuild and maintain her attraction. These are the 7 golden rules you must follow if you want to turn things around. Missing even one of them can risk pushing her further away, so pay close attention. The first rule is simple but powerful. Do not over-communicate. When she starts to pull away, your natural reaction might be to increase the frequency of your texts or calls, hoping to reignite her interest. But this approach often has the opposite effect. Over-communicating signals insecurity and fear of losing her, making you seem less attractive. Instead, step back and give her space. By doing so, you allow her to wonder about you, to miss your presence, and to reevaluate the value you bring to her life. The second rule is just as critical. Don't confess your feelings to her. It might feel tempting to express how much you care about her, thinking it will reassure her or rekindle the connection. However, confessing your feelings when she's pulling away often backfires. It removes the mystery and excitement that keep her intrigued. Attraction thrives in uncertainty, and by laying all your emotions on the table, you leave little for her to discover. Hold back, stay composed, and let her curiosity build naturally. Equally important is the third rule. Don't express anger or frustration. It's easy to feel upset when someone starts to distance themselves, especially if you've invested emotionally. But reacting with anger, whether by sending accusatory messages, blocking her, or demanding explanations, only pushes her further away. These actions show that you're emotionally affected by her behavior, which can diminish her respect for you. Instead, respond with calmness and maturity. Demonstrating emotional stability is far more attractive than letting your frustrations get the better of you. The fourth rule is about avoiding unnecessary apologies. Don't over-apologize for things that don't require it. Many men, in an attempt to smooth things over, start apologizing for their actions or trying to justify themselves. For instance, you might feel the need to explain why you didn't respond immediately or why you couldn't meet her expectations in a particular moment. But excessive apologies often come across as a sign of weakness. A high-value man doesn't apologize unless it's genuinely warranted. Stand firm in your actions and let her see that you're confident in who you are. The fifth rule is one that many overlook. Don't jump to conclusions or confront her with ultimatums. You might feel the urge to say something like, "If you want me, great, but if not, just tell me so I can move on." While this approach seems direct, it often reveals your own discomfort with uncertainty. Attraction thrives in the gray area, where emotions evolve naturally without being forced. Instead of confronting her, embrace the unknown. Let her take the time she needs to process her feelings without pressure. The sixth rule is about avoiding material gestures. Don't offer gifts or extravagant gestures to win her back. While it might seem romantic to surprise her with something thoughtful, doing so when she's pulling away can send the wrong message. It can make her feel like you're trying to buy her affection or compensate for a lack of emotional connection. Save these gestures for meaningful occasions, not moments of uncertainty. Finally, the seventh rule is the most personal. Don't doubt yourself. When someone pulls away, it's easy to start questioning your worth, wondering if you're not attractive, confident, or successful enough. But these doubts are a trap. Her distance is not a reflection of your value. It's often a response to behaviors or dynamics that can be adjusted. Focus on your strengths. Remind yourself of what makes you a high-value man and approach the situation with confidence. Self-assurance is magnetic, and when you embody it, you naturally draw others towards you. By following these 7 rules, you set the stage for a relationship dynamic where respect and attraction can flourish. These principles aren't just about re-attracting someone, they're about becoming the kind of person who commands attention and admiration effortlessly. Now that you understand the key principles to avoid common mistakes, let's shift focus to the mindset you need to maintain throughout this process. The way you think about yourself and the situation plays a crucial role in determining the outcome. Without the right mindset, even the best strategies will fall short. First, remember this: her interest in you doesn't define your worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of equating someone's behavior with your value as a person. When she pulls away, you might think, maybe I'm not attractive enough, or maybe I said the wrong thing. But here's the truth. Attraction is dynamic, and her behavior often reflects her own emotions and circumstances more than anything about you. What matters most is how you respond, not how she acts. One of the biggest mistakes men make in these situations is doubting themselves. They start to replay every interaction, second-guessing their actions and questioning their abilities. This spiral of self-doubt not only hurts your confidence, but also changes how you present yourself. When you carry an air of insecurity, it shows, and it's far less attractive than the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth. So, how do you cultivate this confidence? Start by focusing on the things within your control: your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. When you're actively working on becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally exude an energy that's hard to ignore. This isn't about pretending you're fine or putting on a facade. It's about genuinely building a life that you're proud of, with or without her. Next, Practice patience. Relationships are not linear, and attraction isn't something you can force. Giving her space doesn't mean giving up. It means respecting her process while staying grounded in your own value. The more you show that you're not chasing her validation, the more she'll start to wonder why. And that curiosity can be a powerful force in reigniting her interest. Finally, remember that setbacks are part of the process. Even if she doesn't come back, the work you put into yourself during this time will set you up for success in future relationships. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow, and the confidence you build now will make you stronger, wiser, and more attractive in the long run. When you adopt this mindset, you shift the focus from winning her back to becoming the best version of yourself. Ironically, it's this very shift that often leads to her renewed interest. People are naturally drawn to those who are secure in themselves, those who don't need constant reassurance or external validation. By prioritizing your growth and maintaining your confidence, you not only create the possibility of rekindling her interest, but also lay the foundation for deeper, more fulfilling connections moving forward. As we come to the end of this discussion, let's recap the most important points. Attraction is not about constant effort or proving your worth. It's about balance, confidence, and understanding the dynamics of emotional engagement. When someone starts to pull away, the worst thing you can do is panic or overreact. Instead, take a step back, give her space, and focus on maintaining your own value. Remember, the key is not to chase, but to create an environment where she's drawn back to you naturally. Throughout this process, it's essential to avoid common mistakes like over-communicating, confessing feelings prematurely, or trying to buy her affection. These actions often come from a place of insecurity, and they can unintentionally push her further away. Instead, prioritize your personal growth, maintain emotional stability, and show her that your life is fulfilling with or without her presence. When you embody this confidence and self-assurance, you not only reignite her interest, but also set the foundation for a stronger, more balanced connection. The journey to becoming a high-value man isn't just about relationships. It's about building a life that reflects your true potential. Along the way, you'll face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but every step forward makes you more resilient and magnetic. By focusing on your own growth, you create opportunities not only to reconnect with her, but also to attract the kind of relationship you truly deserve. Now, let me leave you with this. The moment you stop chasing and start living with purpose, everything begins to change. She'll notice the shift in your energy, and more importantly, you'll notice the shift in how you view yourself. So, take a deep breath, stay composed, and trust the process. You've got this. If you found this video helpful, let me know by commenting yes below. If not, comment no, and tell me what you think I could improve. Don't forget to subscribe to the Stoic Golden Rule for more insights on relationships, personal growth, and modern Stoicism. And if you're ready to dive deeper into these topics, check out the videos recommended at the end. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.